Since 2015, I've been harassed by my mother's side of the family. Christy Charles, who's a deadbeat piece of shit, who's only ever poured beers at a one horse pub. They're just low life people. We can't stand them. When I say we, Amanda used to be with me. But I don't know what happened to Amanda. It's almost like she's turned into Carol. So can't stand them. They're just disgusting low life people that are affiliated with these low life organisations, and then they use these organisations they work for as a tool to inflict pain and disruption to family members' lives. This is what they've been doing for years. I've kept Facebook posts to do it because these organisations are just scummy, drug drunken women who work for these disability organisations. They just let my mother's dirtbag piece of shit sister Robin Childs get away with it. It's Mary Mahalski, it's Robin Charles. They always do these mentally retarded scams. Let me tell you. So to try and do it, they brought up, okay, Wade. Oh, Christy's like her mother. Christy Charles is a fucking disgusting piece of shit. So they're trying to make it, oh, it's hereditary. It's like, no, it's not. Because if you look at so for an example, they brought up Morgan, which is Kerry Adams' daughter. Okay, as a window licker. Oh, she's a window licker. Oh, Denny, their brother Denny's daughter. But so is Kerry Adams' other children. So Ryan, they all got these mentally retarded issues. Okay, Nan said, because Nan and I went over, Nan was upset about this. Nan goes, Justin, it's nothing to do with Denny. All of Kerry's children are mentally retarded. And Denny's the father to one of them, and they've all got different fathers, so it comes from the mother. And I'm like, Nan, you would have to be a junkie. Wasn't Kerry a junkie? Like, didn't she meet your son? Like, I mean, your son's not the most decent. And even Nan's like, I know. Like, he was, the people he would affiliate with. So, women that slept with him, you couldn't say that they were decent women. So, what was she, a drunk, a junkie? What was she? Like, she's a deadbeat Salvation Army, so she must have been some low life junkie, and that's why her daughter's like that, but all her children are like that. And then they try to bring Wade into, so Wade Haywood, which is Colette and Nikita's brother. Well, back in 1996, Colette showed me a photo of herself when she was in hospital and her face was all bashed up and she was all bruised all over. She got bashed up by Pat, Wade's father, when she was pregnant, and that caused trouble to Wade. So I was like, there's logical explanations. Like, she was in hospital, and I can't. Here's the thing: I'll tell you the difference between my mother and Robin Childs. Carol Ann Purdy used to socialise with the decent niece of my nan's. So the one that was raised by my great grandmother, who I really like, which is Sharon and Chick Newcomb. I adore Sharon Newcomb. She was raised by Big Nan. So her mother's Mari, my nan's sister, and my nan always said, Justin, hang on, when Nan described Aunt Mari to me, she said, that's where Robin gets it from. They have names for women like that in my days. Apparently she was a floozy, is the word. She was a floozy. And she goes, her husband wasn't Sharon's father. I don't know. Sharon met her real father once, but there's something. Look, I reckon Sharon. So that's Sharon and Chick Newcomb. So Charles Newcomb. She needs to write a book because apparently she met her father and who her father is, and she would know exactly. And apparently it wasn't discussed because he was high profile. How? So there's something there because Mum would know. It's been talked about, but anyway. So Sharon was raised by her grandmother. So I've got a lot in common with Aunt Sharon, which is Mum's cousin. Sharon got raised by her grandmother, which is my big nan. And she was raised in the house in Leichhardt. So I'm closer to that side. And my mum's closer to Sharon Newcomb than she is Sharon's half-sister, which is Colette Haywood. Colette Haywood is closer to my mum's deadbeat sisters, which is Robin and Mary, and like Robin Childs and Mary Mahalski. And it's like, well, there's a difference. Colette's like, oh, God, like she's a bit, like it's the half-caste thing. And that's who Mum's sisters affiliate with, but Mum doesn't affiliate with Colette. And Colette even used to say, your mother scared me, Justin, when we were growing up. It's like, apparently Mum scared her. I was like, yeah, but Mum was closer to her half-sister. So we were closer to her sister. So that's the difference with the family. You know, just because we're all related doesn't mean we're the same. We're completely different. Because Mum was closer to Sharon and Charles Newcomb, so Sharon and Chick Newcomb, which I adore, Aunt Sharon. This is Mum's side. They've moved up to Foster, way up there. That's Sean and Cherie's parents, and Sean's still on the Central Coast. And yeah, Sharon, Charles, Sean, Cherie, Newcomb. Anyway, so and I absolutely adored. Like we always stayed. So my mother always stayed with Sharon, and Sharon Newcomb lived down the road from Dad's at Empire Bay, and she did. She was down at Empire Bay for years. When my dad was at Empire Bay, so that's who we grew up with. My mother's deadbeat low-life sister, Robin Childs, grew up with their half-caste sister, and was always at the other friggin', Colette's. And the Wade's, yeah, got something wrong with him, but he was, like, Colette was bashed up by her husband or something, and left in hospital. It's like, yeah, so that caused trouble to the baby, to the fetus. But they tried to scan these, oh, it's hereditary. It's like, no, like, even Carol was doing this back in 2012, 2013, going, oh, Marianne can't map. I'm like, well, maybe if she wasn't drunk. Take the bottle out of your mouth, Marianne. You might be able to think. Like, I don't drink. Those women, like, when you see women that really should, women are not meant to be drinking as much as men, yet those three Purdy women drink more than I've ever seen a male ever drink in my life. It's like, well, you don't have any brain cells. Do you understand that you are just dumb women with no brain cells that have just manipulated mentally retarded organisations for your own gain? Not only your own gain, you use it as a tool to inflict damage to a family member's life just because you've got a personal vendetta with them, which is what Christy Childs did. It's what Robin Childs did. Oh, we were arguing in the last 10 years, so they used mentally retarded organisations to harass me. They used their organisations to cause damage in my life because they had their nose out of joint. And the government sits back. I've contacted the government and said, this is just a family feud. They've done this my entire life. And they think I'm lying. It's like, no, I'm not close to them. I've never been close to them. I have to put up with them because of my nan. I really can't wait till my nan's dead. And now she's dead. Like in 2018, she dies. Like, thank fucking God. I'm free of them. But I wasn't free. They kept it going in America. Like, I deliberately played a prank from 2016 to 2018 just to prove how much fraud goes on with mentally retarded organisations. I did. That wasn't true. That wasn't real. Oh my God, IGA wasn't real. Are you insane? Like, seriously, that wasn't real. That was fake. Yeah, I did train my dog to be a service dog, but that was for alert. That's because I had some immune issues going on as well, and the US requirements was asthma. Like I said, I'm a green card holder. I'm a permanent resident of America, so I trained my dog as per the American requirement for a service dog, and that was for asthma. So that's all I had to do. It's not emotional support. And these organisations are using, it's a mental health scam. They don't do that in America. It's like, yeah, he's not emotional support. Oh, pat a dog, because you're anxiety. It's like, I don't have anxiety. Thank you very much. But the bullshit that they carry on with. And, like, I was jumping out of my skin. I'm thinking, this is back when I was with you. I'm like, why suddenly am I jumping out of my skin again? And I always put it down to drugs. Not drugs that I was taking, but behind my back, my partner was smoking crystal meth. It was over everything. I'm coming home going like this, going, what is that smell? And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm so aggravated. And then, like, I was so aggravated. Then he's going, oh, that's your PTSD. I'm like, I didn't have PTSD before I met you, Giovanni. Never had PTSD in my life. I'm like, what the fuck is that smell? And he's like, oh, now you smell things. And he was telling my doctors this, but he didn't tell my doctors that he was home all day taking a massive, huge dildo in his ass, smoking crystal meth while I was working. Because no one knew I was still working to 2012. That's the problem. No one knew I was studying. No one knew I wasn't home. And that's the problem. I was not home. Okay? Giovanni was. So he used to tell his employer that he had to be home with me, but he wasn't. Every time that I wasn't at home, he was coming home to fulfill his sexual fantasies. And I found out that it was crystal meth he was doing all the time. When I first met him, I caught him in 2009, and I actually caught him with a glass pipe, and I smashed it for the businesses, and I kicked him out. Came back, he doesn't do it again, but he didn't stop doing it. Now, I told my mother all this. He's just one of those gay guys that get fisted in the ass, but he has to smoke crystal meth for it. I don't. I don't use drugs. The only thing I do is the agili, which is flavored tobacco once in a while. I don't have any addiction issues at all. I don't drink. I don't use drugs. I, you know, that's it. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this happened in March 2013 when the crisis group and the acute care group kept coming around my apartment building in March 2013. Do you know that Giovanni Consalvo had a sex drug party pretty much the entire time in March 2013 in my apartment? But I was overseas. Do you know that Giovanni Consalvo told Dr. George Jacobs that I was suicidal? And George Jacobs raised red flags and told organisations that I'm depressed and suicidal, having a psychotic episode and not leaving the apartment. Do you know that's what he told these organisations? George Jacobs is supposed to be, licensed practitioner. He just repeated exactly what my partner said without actually even asking me if it was true. Do you know this has gone on for years? Like about 17 years. Do you know I lost my job because of this? Do you know that I had no idea that this was getting said behind my back? Because this was going on while I was studying at TAFE College in 2009 and 2010. This was going on while I was working for Steve Hatch and Dimitri from 2009 to 2012. This was going on when I was in America. I wasn't even in Australia. When I submitted my application to the green card in 2012, I planned to be in the US in 2013. I already had that plan for March 2013. Giovanni knew and he used those lies. What do you think those lies have done to my credibility? I've got organisations thinking I had a psychotic breakdown because that's what he was telling George Jacobs, so he could get off work and so he could smoke crystal meth and get fisted in the ass. That's what he did. And do you know that my mother Carol knows all this? She was told in 2015 and didn't get her son a solicitor, even though she's worked in a law firm her entire life. Okay? She's worked in a legal office since she was 16, and the last law firm, I think she finished there at the law company working for Michael McHugh back in 2009. Do you know that she didn't help her son at all? When her son told his mother and said, "Mum, can you help? I've just been lied about. I need this. Before this destroys my life, I need this false information corrected." It's gone through to even police. It's gone through government organisations. It's gone through all these organisations. St. Vincent's have information on me that's not true. And that's the thing. Do you know how negligent this is? Because those organisations took what they were being told as truth, even though I said that's not true. I can't be in two places at once. In the best thing that happened to prove that I was in America in March 2013 was John Totaro happened to be in America at the same time with Sandra. I'm like, oh, I'll catch up with him. I didn't catch up with him all the time because I went and saw Daniel Green. I went and caught up with, Ryan Morgan, who's a hairdresser from Florida. Who I met there. I was in Mexico City. I was doing things. But again, this is all bullshit lies that all these organisations have. And it got worse in the last 10 years. And it got worse because I basically told Giovanni off with these bullshit scams. He's not a carer. He's my ex-partner. Everything, there's probably every bit of information that's been said since 2009 isn't true. Because it didn't come from me. I only found out just how bad things were in March 2013, because George Jacobs wouldn't correct the false information that he had, which makes my workers' comp need to be reopened. And then in 2015. And for the last 10 years, I'm going through court hearings. I'm going for everything. Giovanni used Abigail Ann Francis Noyce in with this, and then she threatened me and pretended that she was assaulted. That she threatened me. She threatened me to not pursue the matter of fraud. And police didn't arrest her. She should be arrested in jail. This is how far this has gone. And this wouldn't have gone this far if my mother, her sisters weren't such scammers with it. Instead of just doing the right thing, but this is your family member. No, they got such jealous behaviour. And they always do. It's like, no, you didn't correct the lie. You're just running with the same lie that Giovanni's been doing since I met him. He got ahead with it. And let's see where I found Giovanni when I met him. Giovanni was living with Paula and Gary, two crystal meth smokers. Paula, I think, used to work for Dove, whatever. But anyway, who gives a shit? She's living in Kensington in a house that her mother owned, that her and her sister got left to her, and she sold it and went to Nimbin. That tells you what type of character she is. Giovanni met her through his ex-boyfriend, Mark Gilchrist. Giovanni had only been in Sydney, not even 11 years. He's from country town Adelaide. Giovanni's mother's name's Dawn Carpenter. She's a convict Scottish. His father's Sebastian, still third world bloody village is where he's from. Probably never saw a car in his life before they moved to country town Adelaide. So anyway, oh, and they're Mormon. They're not Roman Catholic. They're free Christians. They're Latter-day Saint Mormon Christians, Jehovah's Witness, and born again Christian freaks. Okay, he moved to Sydney with nothing. He has nothing because he never had anything. I met him he was living in a share house. He had a mattress, an Xbox, and a TV. His entire life packed up into a 3-door hatchback he didn't even own. And when I met him, in just one bank account of mine alone, I had 140,000 in it. And I didn't need to spend that money because I already owned everything. That was only one bank account that sat there with savings. I already owned my sports car. Everything was owned outright. I had no debts. I just paid off my mortgage. That's when I met him. So I was sitting on top of the world and he had nothing. He had nothing because he was just a guy that skipped up and down Oxford Street doing drugs, getting involved in all the LGBT bullshit where I didn't have to. Because I had a different family. You see, when I came out that I was gay, it was no big deal. So I didn't need any support network. I didn't need the homosexual community. I had a family back then. I did. It was nothing. It's like, oh, so what? You're homosexual and this person's heterosexual. It doesn't make any difference. That's how my grandparents took it. I didn't need to be around the gay community because I was always openly gay. And then even when I started high school in 1992 and everyone's talking about girlfriends, I'm just like, I'm gay. Literally, that's what I said. I'm like, I'm gay. I've never been anything other than open homosexual. You know, when I was going to under 18s discos in the 80s at Rudy Hill RSL, and I was, as a 7-year-old going to under 18s discos, I was openly homosexual then. Knew what it was, and it wasn't about sex. It's your sexuality. You're heterosexual, you're homosexual. And that's how you're born. And that's how I was raised. So it wasn't a big deal where you see these other people that had a very different upbringing. I mean, I grew up going to the theatre. And I did. Grew up going to the theatre, grew up going to art galleries, grew up cultured, grew up around people that were affluent in my family. So I didn't have to be around the scumbags of my family. There was a lot of affluent people in my family. I got Uncle Fred, my great uncle Leo, was gay. His sister's my great grandmother. They're two affluent people that took my mother to see lay girls in King's Cross when my mother was 16. Okay, my other grandmother, my dad's father, my dad's mother, Ruby, her brother's gay. Uncle George is gay. He was with his husband for 55 years or something. I have to check this with Aunt Sharon now how long they've been together. So Uncle George and Uncle John were together for Uncle John. Uncle John was not my blood uncle. He was my dad's uncle's life partner. So that's like he was with his partner when my dad was growing up. So my own father, Mark Fleming, was brought up affluent. His uncle's a homosexual. So he got to grow up having a homosexual uncle and seeing his homosexual uncle's partner. I didn't grow up with some dragged up low-life family. So I didn't have to be this person, involved in all these different No. So I grew up having a normal life, working hard just as a normal person that happened to be homosexual. Which is very different to what I've seen in the gay community because you hear their stories of their parents didn't accept it. I'm like, what do you mean they didn't accept it? I don't understand. My argument with my family has nothing to do with me being gay. I literally have people go, like when I was in America, and I'm like, I'm not talking to my family at the moment. They're like, they don't accept you being gay. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's only that makes no sense at all. That's only my sexuality. No, it's nothing to do with my sexuality. This has to do with a family feud. Like, wake up to yourself. Like, I've never heard such rot in all my life when people don't accept someone's sexuality. I've never had to grow up like that. I don't understand it. And to me, it makes no sense whatsoever. How can you not accept someone's sexuality? It's like me turning around going, I'm not going to accept anybody who's a heterosexual. That's it. No, I've got my brick wall there and I don't want to believe heterosexuals exist. That is so barbaric. I've never grown up like that. That to me, and that's how Giovanni's parents are. And then Giovanni, my ex-partner, Gio or Jonathan Craig Consalvo or Johnny, whatever he wants to call himself, because his mother told me he changed his name to Giovanni when he moved to Sydney, just to sound more Italian. His family are like that. Okay, his dad, when I met his dad, said to me, I want to know who molested my son or gave my son drugs to be gay. I'm like, oh my fucking God. Then Giovanni, my entire time I was with him, kept telling people bullshit about my family. I'm like, you're projecting. You're the one with the shit upbringing, Giovanni. You're projecting. You're projecting because you can't accept the fact that your family are deadbeat Christians that don't accept your fact that you're homosexual. Because I've never had any hassles with my family being homosexual. You're projecting. And he did. Like, I remember, like what his father, Sebastian, said. I was like, get your dad out of my house. Literally, I only just, like, and the thing is, too, like I said to Giovanni, when they were staying there, it was one of my Christmas parties in December 2008. And I said to Giovanni, because he was only a guy I was mucking around with, I'm like, look, Gio, if my partner, John, decides to come to this Christmas party, you do know that I'll be getting back together with John. Okay? Because we've only just been having fun. John didn't show up. It was John's choice. John was invited. Like, John and I started the break around September 2008. He didn't show up. I'm like, fine, you want to be a bitch, John? I'm not going to keep playing your games. He was such a bitch. So anyway, and yeah. I said that, so if John had have turned up in December 2008, I would be still with John, my ex. Anyway, I was there, I was like, get your dad out of my house. Get him out. I literally, coming from the father I had that actually threw he threw a birthday party with the family. It was only a small birthday party for my ex-partner, John Cabino. We're at the Central Coast at Empire Bay, and it was John's birthday. My dad's like, Justin, like, he's like, it's your partner's birthday. I'm like, yeah, I know. He goes, you didn't tell me. I could have freaking had a cake ready. He goes, go up the road now. Take this, go up the road and buy him a cake. Because I'm not having, like, Dad was furious. He goes, you could have told me that it's your boyfriend's birthday. And Dad made a huge fuss over it was my boyfriend's birthday. He was so beautiful. Mark Fleming loved John Cabino. He loved John. And like, he was really pissed off with me. There's a photo. It's myself, John, Sky was a baby, Amy was there, Amanda was there. And Dad's like, it's John's birthday. I'm like, yeah, I know. He's like, you didn't tell me. That's how sweet he was. So I went up the road, he got him ice cream cake. We had an ice cream cake for John's birthday. So that's my dad. My dad was like this. And then to see the way Giovanni's father was, or what drugs that, I reckon he was molested and they gave him drugs to be gay. I'm like, get your fucking dad out of my house, Giovanni. Get your fucking dad out of my fucking house. Your parents are fucking scum. Like, the first time I met them, this is how Christian freak, born again Christian, Jehovah's Witness, Latter-day Saint Mormon that they were. And the entire time, Giovanni has been crying to people and it's been bullshit lies. Like, he's literally said stuff about my family that's not true. The entire time I was with him. He's said shit about and it's his family. His family are these freak-ass Christians from country town Adelaide, backwards-minded freaks. They're freaks, the way that they are. And or because Dad, I can tell you exactly why. Dad wouldn't, like, when we had to move from Surrey Hills and Dad didn't offer us to stay there. Do you know why? Because Giovanni and I had separated. I didn't even know where he was in 2011. He was off his face doing drugs all the time. He wasn't living with me. He showed up at my place. Giovanni showed up at my place the day before Christmas Eve in 2011. We had to move out of my place in February 2012. So my dad's like, Justin, after what he did to you in 2010, my dad was sticking up for his son. So don't ever think my dad was being unreasonable in 2012. My dad was sticking up for his son, saying, after what he did to you in 2010, I don't want him here. And nothing to do with him being gay. Giovanni treated me so poorly. And he was living off me. He was living off me, the little scummy piece of shit. Okay, he treated me that badly the entire time we're together. Dad was like, I don't want him here. You haven't even been with him. He's just shown up again. He goes away. You don't see him. You don't know where he is. You don't know where he's gone to. You don't know where he's been. And then he shows up again and you let him in. No, I don't want him here in my house. I don't trust. And I'll tell you what, both my parents will stand up and say, when Justin met Giovanni, he was asking us, oh, you own your own home? How much money do you have? It was all about money with Giovanni. That's what, it's always been about money because he doesn't have money. He never had it. And that's all he wanted. Mum could have stood up for me so many times. Like seriously, there is a bank statement. I'll go and find it where it actually shows 140,000 on it. It was my bank statement in 2008. Just one of my bank statements. Giovanni claimed years later I didn't know about this bank statement. I'm like, that's funny because that's your handwriting. That little note on it, that's your handwriting. So you knew exactly how much money I had just in one bank account. You wanted it. He was struggling in massive amounts of debt when I met him, and he wanted me to pay his debt. Nothing to do with me. He was a scrubber piece of shit, low-life, gay guy, junkie, that I just had sex with one day, and the guy kept coming back to my place in Surrey Hills. Okay? That's all he was. And I cleaned him up, polished him up, brought him a suit. You know, he makes up this story. Oh, he was working at a restaurant in Nelson Park. It's like, you're still fucking a loser. I remember we went to some deadbeat friend of yours in Newtown. You squashed up an E and Eki and snorted. And I was like, oh my God, who am I with? John, going back to my boyfriend, please. Like, literally, I couldn't believe. He's a low life. He was just a lowie with deadbeat low life parents. Okay? And that's what they are. I don't give a shit. I wish I never fucking met him. I do. I wish I never fucking met him. He's put me through hell for years. He put me through hell since the day I met him. And it's all been for his gain. He's like, oh, I got phone calls from his dad once. Oh, why is my son crying? I'm like, oh, I should have turned around to his father and said, because I haven't seen your fucking son for 4 days. He left work to go on Thursday, went for work on Thursday, told me he's going to be home late. They're doing after work drinks with friends. He was always out spending money that he didn't have and not paying any bills towards me. Okay, it's now Tuesday. I haven't seen your son. So I'm guessing, this is what I should have said, he's off his face on drugs. He's been out clubbing all weekend like he does, probably at sex parties like he normally does, and comes home stinking, and I have to cover for him. Because that's my relationship with Giovanni Craig Consalvo. Right? And has he been any different? Let's subpoena his ex-boyfriend Mark Gilchrist then, and see if Giovanni was any different with him. Let's subpoena Jane Harrison, Mark Gilchrist's friend, and let's see who's lying. Because that's why he had no money, struggling in debt. He wanted me to pay his fucking debt. Honestly, God, he moved in with me and he was always complaining that he had all this huge amount of debt, and I never had any debt. And he saw how much money I had in the savings. He wanted me to pay for him. This is a scummy piece of shit that's gotten away with even fraud and forgery. And not only that, New South Wales police have let him get away with lying about me since I've been back in Australia. Then let Abigail Ann Francis Noyce get away with that little scam that they're doing. He even tried to play a victims abuse to get housing commission. So he tried to, because the government rolls out all these schemes and people use them as fraud. Giovanni's a good fraud. He commits fraud. He's probably on compensation again, because when I met him, he was telling me he was going on compensation. He had a breakdown because of the way his boyfriend treated him. But then what he told me about Mark Gilchrist is exactly what he was telling everybody about me. So it's another lie. He was saying that he was, domestic violence. Because you can get a housing commission house if you're a victim of domestic violence. You can also get money from the government. So he was making stories up, and he knows what to do. He knows how to play a system. He worked for Centrelink. He knows how to play it. He used to go, say he's going to work, he used to go and speak to a psychologist each week and fuel the biggest bullshit, so he had a record of it. Seriously, I'm like, check the dates. I can't be in two places at once, because from 2009 to 2012, I was at Emor, I was in Alexandria, and I was in St. Peter's, and I barely saw Giovanni. 2013, I was in America. So you've got a guy that's very used to committing fraud and lying since the day I met him, and you've got a government organisation that did nothing, but you harassed me over Abigail Ann Francis Noyce, which was another scam. Giovanni even involved here's the thing, Stephanie DeSalis is my biggest enemy, was told to fuck off by myself and my partner John Cabino in 2006. Okay, shows up in 2008 once she found out that I'd left John, and she's there going, she shows up my front door, she goes, I'm not going to wait forever for you to admit that you're straight for me. I'm like, I'm not straight, you delusional freak. Like, this is what this psychopath, who's not a friend of mine, has been doing for years. It's like, Stephanie, we're not friends. That's your delusion. I used to say hello to you when I walked past you to get a coffee. You're delusional. We're not friends. We've never been friends. The only photos of us is taken out the front of the Californian Cafe, and there's one that's taken around the corner when I was getting my hair cut. And you walked past and saw me, and you're like, I know the hairdresser, and you're all over me. Okay? And I don't know you. You don't know me. We know of each other, but you're a junkie, and you're delusional. We've never been friends. Ever. Okay? We're not friends. And we've never been together. She was telling people that, oh, I've slept with Justin. I'm like, no, you haven't. So that's a bit creepy. John told her to fuck. Like, we both said, look, fuck off with your delusional fantasies and you stalk him. She comes around my place and same shit again. And I said, come with me, Stephanie. It just so happened I just started seeing Giovanni and he was out the back of my courtyard. I said, Giovanni? I was like, Stephanie? No, Giovanni, this is Stephanie. Stephanie, this is my partner, Giovanni. My new boyfriend. I'm gay. Like you know. You delusional freak. Okay, this is what's been going on for years. These are scumbag, ice-using pieces of shit that the government needs to get under control. People that do ice are just fucked in the head. Seriously, it's like you see, it's like a dime a dozen now. They're scummy pieces of shit. Anyway, I told this to... I had no idea that Giovanni had ever done crystal meth. I had no idea when I met the guy. How am I supposed to know? I didn't know his sexual fantasies or anything about him. Okay? So, I said to Giovanni, I said, oh, like after she left, I said, oh, that's that nut job. Fucking hell. Look, I don't know her. I met her in late 2004. By July 2005, I was avoiding her. She was told to fuck off in 2006. She keeps stalking me. So in 2008, my my new boyfriend was told she's fucked in the head. She's an ice junkie. I think that's why Giovanni kept in touch with her. Because he's the same. I had no idea. Because since then, so the only last social sort of time I've actually had civil was in 2006 with her. And then she was told to fuck off, never show her face again. She showed up in 2008. Then she ran off to Melbourne with some guy. She's there going, she's running off to Melbourne with some guy. He owns the railway track. She's a fucking weirdo. It's like, okay, run along. Bye, Stephanie. You fucking freak. Run along to Melbourne. Like, we don't know each other. Don't need to know. Bye. Like, you stalked me. Okay? We're not friends. Like, this is what it was like with her. It's like, Stephanie, stalking somebody's life doesn't mean you're friends with them. Showing up at my work, and I'm like, oh my fucking God. So, yeah, she did show up at my work, but the story she tells was just like this big fucking Danielle Steele's. I walked into the casino, and there was Justin walking down his staircase with his security guards on either side of him. And he said, what do you need? I'm going to do whatever I can to help you. I'm like, oh my God. Let me tell you, for starters, you would not see me if you first walked into the casino. The main gaming floor is over, 8 football fields long? And no one's allowed to tell you where I am. If you come up to one of the desks, say the Lagoon host desk, and you said you're here to see Justin, they're not going to tell you where I am. So you can't go to an area that I'm in to find me. They have to radio me or call me, say if I'm in the Oasis Lounge or Star Lounge, and say, I have got Stephanie DeSalis, someone here to see you, where they're located. And I would come to you. You would not walk in there and see me. This whole fantasy that is in her head is her ice-fueled fantasy about me. That police are so dumb, the Australian government department, that they've taken serious. It's like, you do know she's delusional. I've never had sex with her. She's delusional. Okay? And I was with my partner, John Cabino, back then. This is all her fantasies. Alright? She never... Yeah, this is just crazy. Anyway. Again, she popped her head up in 2015, October, when I was all this bullshit getting told about me across social media. And, yeah... She's there. What was it? A dirty fucking abo who I brought my dog from lied. I'm not going to give that much attention because I already explained this. I brought my dog. There's the receipt for him. I paid $2,000 and the transfer of ownership was done by the other owner, Brett Aikenhead. Everybody jumped onto some bullshit social media lie. Some deadbeat loser, Spiro, popped his head up. And I said, mate, fuck off and mind your own business. Stephanie jumped onto it and said, oh, I know him and I'll be taking him and Brett's side. I'm like, I don't care. This is insane. This is social media stalking. Okay, don't care. Fuck off. Basically, and then she came up from Melbourne to Sydney and was stalking my life again, and police didn't do anything to charge her like they were told to. Well, don't worry, New South Wales police were called several times in 2015, since October 2015, right through to 2018. I kept calling them, saying, are you going to arrest these people? And they kept saying, not unless they physically assault you. So I've had this now for 10 years straight, or being put under duress, and I speak to solicitors that go, oh, it's not at duress unless it's a criminal. I'm like, they are criminals. What do you think drug use is? So it is duress. I've been put under constant duress for 10 years, causing me to react, and I lost my job because of it. Right? And my mother, what's my mother doing about it? Anything? You know, I already explained why this Brett Aikenhead piece of shit made up some bullshit stories in October 2015 and why. It's because I told Newtown Police about, like, this Brett I brought my dog from, he's not a friend of mine, he's my free prostitute. So if I'm on a break from my relationship, well, I'm still going to have sex with somebody, and you're not going to have sex with somebody that you're interested in. Like, you're not going to treat someone that you want to date like a piece of trash whore. Like, I'm not going to treat somebody that I'm in love with like a whore. No, you're going to treat some piece of shit like a whore. And that's all Brett Aikenhead was. Some piece of trash, free prostitute. I'm not the only person who used to visit him for sex. But I had to put a pillow over his head so I didn't see him. Jesus Christ. It's like, think of something like, you know, type thing. It's like when you go and see a brothel. Like straight men. You know? Anyway. Oh, don't worry. I made sure I scrubbed myself afterwards. I'm going to catch any diseases. You know, what they come with. You know, it's probably got fleas. To delouse myself. He's an abo. You know, they're still animals, right? Those things to make sure I delouse myself. Anyway, so I brought my dog from the guy. Anyway, and the shits when I found a new fuck belief thing with this Brazilian guy. That was in October. I told Brett to fuck off, and he got the shits. I didn't know that he actually knew this Brazilian guy. And all I was doing, I was just on a break from my relationship, so I'm just having sex with complete strangers on the side. Anyway, got the shits here, sold him in his Brett, and police said he's under the influence of crystal meth. Do you know where he gets it from? I said, oh, funny enough, he was telling me about, because he was actually saying to me, can you make sure these people don't come near me? He was trying, I'm like, yeah, sure. Fuck off. Mate, you're just my prostitute. Anyway, he said there's some guy, and I gave him the guy's name that lives in Lilyfield. There's a Kaiser and a Jackie who lives in Neutral Bay. And there's a Wayne who works for Winning Appliances in Alexandria. And I gave the police this and said, would you stand in front of a magistrate and say this? I said, yeah. So they subpoenaed me to give these evidence. And then a copper told Brett Aikenhead that I'm going to give evidence against his friends about what information that Brett has actually told me. And that's why these lies about me started in October 2015. Because Brett was trying to discredit me. And he even said to me then, because he contacted me and said, I know what you told police. I'm like, how the fuck? So there's a leak in Newtown Police. There must be some crystal meth smoking fucking police officer that told Brett this bullshit. I'm like, fuck me dead. And he goes, oh, I'm going to get the nursing industry involved. And I'm thinking, the fuck, are they really deadbeats going to listen to you? Like, he's going to go to the nursing registration board and make my life live in hell. Like, this is what he was saying to me. I'm going to get the war veterans involved. And I'm like, what? Apparently his dad was a war veteran. I'm like, so is my uncle, so is my grandfather's. Like, I don't think an organisation, just because you tell them to get involved in your personal business, is like, he was really setting out to discredit me. He told apparently this is what he told me, that he told his nephew to stalk my dad's younger sister, my dad's youngest daughter, my younger sister, Sky Sheridan Fleming, on social media, and Sky's sisters to her mum's first marriage, so my stepsisters. And this is creepy because it actually happened. this bit actually happened. So Sky's sister, Laura's old boyfriend, they're not together now. Ryan, he's a roofer. His brother's gay. And my ex-partner Gio and myself met Ryan's family at Christmas at my stepmom Debbie's in the Blue Mountains. So they were stalking this family on social media. And Brett's nephew, Brett told me, he goes, I'm getting my nephew to move from Canberra to the Blue Mountains. He's stalking Laura and that on social media. I'm like, and I told him, I was like, just be careful. They didn't listen to me. Anyway, he starts dating Ryan's brother. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Brett said, oh, he's dating your sister's boyfriend's brother. I'm like, this is insane. This guy's creepy. This Brett Aikenhead's creepy. I only met him in April 2015. I brought my dog from him and told him to fuck off in October 2015. This is so... And if it was a white person, he would not have gotten away with it. It's because he's an abo. Honestly, it's because he's Aboriginal. He's a deadbeat fucking abo cunt. And that's the truth. He's just some deadbeat fucking abo cunt that they're so entitled in Australia. And it just shows exactly their just... Well, look at them. Like, we've had trouble with these people for years. And as we just don't have balls to stand up to them. Like, everyone's so scared of being called a racist. It's like, listen, for the last 40 years, we're still going around the same behaviour. No one wants to stand up to the abos. Stand up to the abos. The only people that had the balls to stand up to the abos were the Lebanese, which is what they did in Everleigh Street. So start standing up to the fucking abos. You're making them just run wild. We've got a problem with these ferals, you know? So stand up to the fucking abos. I'm sick of this shit. It's about time the whole country starts standing up to the fucking abos. You know, they're not that. Seriously, like, we're going to keep them being so entitled that they can get away with this shit. No. No, they can't. So this is where it all started from 10 years ago, and I'm the one paying the damage for it everywhere. America, where I've held a green card permanent residence since 2014. Australia, and I only came back to Australia to correct the wrong information. 2.5 years I've been back, and these arseholes keep damaging my life. So, you know, what's my mum doing? What's Carol Ann Purdy, that's worked for a law firm since she was 16, and the last one was Michael McHugh, and I think she left there in 2009. What's she doing? Stop defending complete strangers. Have loyalty to your own family. Seriously, and Carol, we're not Aboriginal. So have no loyalty to those deadbeat friggin' people. Okay?